Hey, how's it going? I'm Drew and this is my second attempt at recording this because the first time I did it, I sounded like I was dying. Slowly, like slow and painfully. Anyways, this is a little Christmas present for you guys. I couldn't get around to making a Christmas animation this year, which is really unfortunate because I did want to, but things kept popping up, so I couldn't do that. But anyways, enough sobbing out the way. Here's what I got for you. So this video is a showcase of my face rig. You know, Drio's simple face rig, but it's in Blender this time. And as you can see, it's a little different than it is in Mine-imator because of course I had to make a few changes when translating stuff over to Blender. So first things first, I'm gonna go top down. But first things first, if you look in this area here, right up here, it says Face Rig version 2. Now that's because this is actually technically a second version of TSFR that I made in Blender before, which I'll show you right now. So if we go to the, oh boy. As you can see, everything's here, right? You got all your basic stuff. This is also the version that I used in my short film, up to my short film, I should say. So that's the same version in there. And you can tell because you got these guys right here with brows. I was about to say eyebrows, with the eyelids, and it's purple. That's because what I have to do every time I do this, select a few things actually to finally go in there and then change the texture to be the same as the Steve or whatever skin I'm using, which is not that great, honestly, to do, which I'm very glad with how I decided to fix that in my second version of the skin. But you've got your eyebrows, you got your eyelid slider, you've got your little sliver of white, which there's a reason for that actually, believe it or not. So if I go in here, before I quite literally had to take off the faces of my skin or some of the eye faces so you can get the whites of the eyes there, and it's like a little divot, just like my face rig in Mine-imator. However, I've decided to kind of deter from that style, and I'll show you in a bit. Another thing is that everything here you have to select in object mode, which is a pain to do because say I want to select these eyes, for instance, I would have to select this, but this eyebrow is technically over everything. So I have to select that, and I gotta select it again, and then I have to select it again, which sometimes is the mouth, until I get to the eyes. Fortunately, I changed that. So instead of everything being in object mode, everything that you see here is controlled completely in pose mode. As you can see up here, pose mode, you got everything here. You can rotate and move everything. You can scale some of the stuff depending on what you want to scale. Don't scale everything, because if you scale this, oh, whoops, no you can't. If you scale, that happens. So that's a no-go. Also, I should mention that I hope you're not hearing my dog for one in the background. So what was I saying? So you can, oh, don't rotate this. All right, I lost my train of thought. So as I was saying, you don't want to rotate this, but everything here, as you can see, is in pose mode. But let's move from top to down to show you the differences. First and foremost, the eyebrows. As you can see, you can move them up and down with this guy up here, or you can move them with, individually. And of course, you can select the eyebrows individually as well, just like the previous Mine-imator version. I also changed where the textures are as well. So if you look over here, let me move this down here so you can get a side-by-side comparison. So I moved around some stuff. There's the normal ones, and then there's the ones that are, I guess you could say, like inverts of some of these. Of course, just the versions of the eyebrows that need inversions. Of course, some of them don't need inversions. But down here is actually a thing I recently added, which is these ones are the same width as the eyes. So this is more of a stylistic choice that I actually got inspiration from August Blend's one, which I'll show you a bit more when I get to the eyes. But basically, all of these are made to more so or less, or some of these textures do not fit yet because I haven't done everything yet, as you can see. But they're basically to more or less fit the width of the actual eye width, which is, like I said, a stylistic thing. I personally will still use the longer ones just because I've been using them for so long. I've gotten used to them. But of course, when you're able to download this, you can do whatever you want with it. That's why the customizability is there. Another thing, speaking of customizability, actually, since this is in Blender, what you can do is whoa, that was wild. If you go to the image editor, you can quite literally paint textures on it, and especially since we now have the pixel art tool in Blender, you can, maybe not with that large of a brush, 1 pixel, and you can quite literally draw your pixels on it. Of course, you don't get the grid, which I really wish is, I wish it was something that Blender had, where you can see kind of a grid, because then I would definitely make it so you can see a 16 by 16 grid on here for easier stuff. But it is there for if you ever want to do it that way, which is really neat. So moving on from the eyebrows, we've got the eyes, which there's only 1 pixel tall eyes right now, but I do maybe plan on having 2 pixel tall eyes. But you can move around the eyes this way if you want to do that for some reason, or you can just, you know, like a normal person, just move around the irises. You can move them around individually, scale them as well. Then you can, of course, move these up and down, which I'm gonna get to. Oh, that guy's a little strange. Gotta fix that. I'm gonna put that in my notes. But this is where I'll go over the, I guess, the inspirations that I've taken from other face rigs, or it was really just one face rig, honestly, now that I think about it. But if I redo everything, one thing that you'll notice about this face rig is that all of the textures are flat on. Now, that was mainly at first because I didn't know how to extrude these properly without messing with the UVs. And at a certain point, I was just like, I'll just keep the 2D stuff. But I might actually, I've figured out how to make them 3D. So that is probably maybe something that I'll have in the future. I don't know. I don't know just yet, but who knows? Not me, that's for sure. But anyways, what was I saying? Right, inspirations. So I took slight inspiration from, of course, as you saw in the previous face rig, these used to be eyelids. I was thinking of how would I change this to not use the eyelids, because they were very finicky to work with for one. Positioning them over the actual eyes to cover them was just very off. Then I decided I'll just use a plane and then just scale them. And that's what I did for the first part. And then I saw this series by, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Ancient Debris by Cube Canvas. Or no, what? Yes, by Cube Canvas. And this is a series that I've been hyped for ever since the first teaser trailer came out, even before the trailers came out. When I saw like the promo stuff from I'm pretty sure it was August Blend, who made like a bunch of animation stuff. No, it's the other guy. I can't remember the other guy's name at this moment in time. But even before like all of this stuff, I was hyped. I was like, this is going to be really cool. And so I took some similarities from specifically the face rig that August Blend made. A little video. As you can see, it's got all those cool, like, it seems very similar to what they're using in Ancient Debris, which I think is really cool. But anyways, if I go to the actual face rig, because I just have it downloaded, of course. As you can see, one thing I took from it was how the eyes raise and lower. So as you can see, the eyes kind of extend when, you know, for surprising or just for opening them up wider, or whatever you want to do that for. And I was like, ooh, that looks pretty cool. So I decided to just do that with my face rig as well. Of course, I'm not just saying, oh, I came up with this myself. I am telling you guys, I took this from the other face rig, heavily inspired, let's say, from August's face rig, and also just the MC Minecraft style in general. It just seemed like a really cool stylistic thing to do. So I decided to do that with my face rig as well. Of course, they lock off. You can't really can't extend them further. Well, you could if you really wanted to, but I don't want to do that, so I'll just leave it like that. But yeah, so that's one thing that I've kind of yoinked from there. Another thing that I've yoinked is the eyelids in particular. So for a while now, I've been kind of having difficulties with more feminine faces on how I would make you know, feminine faces for my face rig. Now before, I'm pretty sure you've also noticed, which I've just remembered, there's no more eyelashed eyebrows, and that's because eyebrows don't have, like, you know, those eyelashes on it. That's just not how they work. Instead, what I've done, and that's one thing you can see in my latest animation, you know, headshot, is with this girl here. She has these eyelashes that actually follow the eyes and stuff, which was something I also took from this. I took a few things, mainly with the eyes, actually. Now I think about it, it's really just the eyes that I've taken. Everything else, of course, is mine. But yeah. So what I've done is I've made it so that the actual eyelids, or eyelashes, eyelids, something, they actually follow the eyes as well. You could also move these around. but these, they follow the eyelids as the eyes. They follow the eyes as well. Before they were just set in the middle of the eyes, and then I would basically just move it from being here to here whenever I needed it. But now I quite literally can just do the same thing, but now when I close them, the eyelids actually sitting on top of the eyes, which is pretty cool, in my humble opinion. In my humble, honest opinion. But yeah, with the eyes, you can move them around independently. You can, or that's not independent. You can move around with this big guy here. Then you can move around with the small guys here and also scale them, like I said. You know, all the cool stuff that you would expect to happen. This face rig is made to be quite intuitive, essentially, which I really like how it's turned out. But moving on to the mouth. Now, this is another big elephant in the room because you can see there's no lip outline anymore. And that's because I have moved to a style where it doesn't have the line anymore. That's literally it. But you can always bring that back with the properties that I will show you in a bit. But with the mouth, With the mouth, it is as straightforward as the other ones. You can move it around just as easily as the other ones, and then select whichever one you want, keyframe them, select another one, like you normally would do with all the other stuff. But yeah, that's really it for the main portion. Now there's this properties thing. You can think of it as like the settings for the almost entire face rig. So the first one is you got your eyebrow color, which you can just change the eyebrows to be whichever color you want. I should probably use more often thinking about it. But then you can reset it, and then it goes back to the correct color. This is the actual correct color of the eyebrows, not just any random eyebrow color. Same with the eye color, which I do probably plan on having multicolored eyes, which I'm not sure as yet, but I might have multicolored eyes, who knows. And you can reset that, and that is normal as normal can be. Then you can do eye height, which is mainly for if you want to get more exaggerated with your stuff. Also, if you're using just pupils, like how my skin has just pupils on it, then you can use this to get a bit of height, a bit of depth to just the pupils themselves. Then you got eye pixel lock, which is another stylistic thing, honestly. So normally without pixel lock, if I move the eyes, they would kind of go out of the curves. So I forgot what the white part's called. But with eye pixel lock, they lock to the pixels of the eyes. So they don't do that when they're going up and down, but they do it when they're going left to right. So they will not go past that pixel there. They will just stay there, which, like I said, is a stylistic thing. It really depends on, for me personally, it just depends on what the project asks for. But of course, your reason can vary and probably will vary to mine. The other thing is the lipstick. Like I said, you can still bring it back. So it is now just a lipstick now. And then of course, now you have all of the other stuff. Then you can change the lipstick color to be whatever you want it to be, which is pretty neat. And you can turn that off and you can change everything back. And then there's the last one here, no whites. It's in all caps. I don't know why it's in all caps. I don't know why it's screaming at you, but it just takes off the white part of the eyes. So now you can move so now you have just the pupils. So like for faces like my skin, for instance, where I just have, pupils, this was solely for skins like mine, because I forgot that I needed to do something like that for my skin, and I finally did it. But that's really it for this face rig, honestly. Like I said, it is made to be very user-friendly, even for parts like, for instance, if you don't want to see all this stuff, if you go to bone collections, which is in this data property here, if you're selecting any of those, or just like, even if you have just the thing selected itself in object mode, if you go to data, you can just turn off all of these, and they also turn off the corresponding textures as well. So you get to turn off all of those. And then you can even turn off the face. This is for if you want to just like, work on the face, for instance. You don't want to deal with all of the other textures and stuff. That's completely fine. That's something that you can do. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Also, one more thing that I do want to mention is application of this face rig. Hey, it's me, Future Turio, by the way, Future Editing Turio. But for the most part, I used MC Prep's simple player rig, and that's mainly what this face rig is made for. So normally, when you want the face rig, you would go to the asset browser, if you have it as an asset, of course, and you just drag it in, make sure that it's ended, not the other thing. Drag it in, press Ctrl Z to reset the stuff. Then you would just select this guy right here, and then go to Relations, Object, the armature of that, bone, then the head, of course. because you wouldn't want it anywhere else. And as you can see, it fits perfectly on MC Prep's simple player rig. Now, if you want to add this to anything else, like for instance, if I want it to be on a cube, you could definitely do that, because if I add this to the cube, if you notice, the actual scale point of the face rig itself is at the center of everything. So as long as you have it in the center, once you scale it up, it should just fit onto whichever object you want it to fit onto. And then you would just have to move it upwards a bit to however you want it. And then boom, it works like a charm, I think. I think it works like a charm. You could tell me otherwise if you want. But yeah, that's really, this looks funny. But yeah, that's really it. And then of course, if you turn off the overlay, it turns off basically everything besides these textures, because these textures actually aren't bones. They're actual just planes that are down here. These are all like the guts of the face rig. So these are all the meshes and stuff like that that you can't select anymore, thankfully, because that was a pain to deal with when I had to go through and select everything myself. But luckily, those days are gone now. I don't know why this is here. These should not be here anymore. Where is that? Oh, that's on the mouth. Let's delete that. I'll stay on that for now. I'll remember to fix that later. But anyways, like I said, that's it for the face rig. It's not for download just yet, because there's still some stuff, as you saw, that I want to fix before I make this a public release. But I kind of wanted to give you guys something for Christmas, because I didn't have the time to make an animation this time around. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give me a suggestion actually. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for this face rig, put them in the comments section, because I really want some suggestions. Just in case you don't like something, or you really do like something, say it in the comments. It won't hurt. I like constructive criticism. Did I say that word? Constructive criticism? Yeah, I probably did. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to what do they do again? They say like, they say subscribing, I think they say comment, they say favorite, like us on Facebook, they say a lot of stuff. I don't know. Just do whatever you want. It's whatever. Merry Christmas, guys. Hope you get all the gifts you want. Bye.